It's my pleasure to say a few words of introduction for Julie. We have a full bio in the bulletin, so you can read all of the details. There were a few things that really stood out for me when I was reading it. One is that she's a long-time Unity person. Very long time. She was born into it. Not many people can say that. And she was christened at Unity of Seattle, and her grandmother was a founding member of Unity of Seattle. So real family tradition with Unity. Julie has been a member and a volunteer since she was 25 and was ordained in 1995. She's served in Unity centers in Washington State, British Columbia, I think White Rock, and Port Huron, Michigan. As well, she's served as president of the Association of Unity Churches Canada and the board of Unity Worldwide, so really contributed to the Unity expression in many, many ways. When I heard her speak here earlier this year, one of the things that really stood out for me is that healing is one of her passions. I could just feel in her presence how much Spirit works through her as a channel for healing. Her meditation and her talk, I could feel, was really quickening Spirit in me and in all of us. And I'm delighted that she's with us here today, and I look forward to your message. Julie.
So, I chose to talk about why we step up, because I think that at Christmas time there's almost a overwhelming tidal wave of all kinds of ways to step up. You know, my husband and I made a pledge so that we said anytime anybody sends us an ask for donations for whatever it is, we send $10. That's our amount. Doesn't matter what it is, we send $10 because we believe in what Jesus said, that when someone asks, you do everything you can to help. And what has happened, you know, in Unity we talk a lot about abundance, and what you put your attention on grows. And I just like to say that, you know, we usually get tenfold for everyone we get sent in. So it's an opportunity to keep reminding yourself, maybe not in that way, but this is the time of year when most people are tuned into giving. They're tuned in to taking that extra step, to stepping up a little bit, to helping where we can help. And I know people in Unity help a lot. That's why the most handsome men attend Unity. And the most glorious women attend Unity. And we get that wonderful energy of everything working perfectly together. There's a handout. I don't know if it got handed out, but if it didn't, I'll share it with you anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's about what calls us. And it takes courage to answer calls. You know, oftentimes you go somewhere, you see something, like in Bellingham, where I do my shopping. I don't live there, but I do my shopping there. There's a lot of people that are homeless, and they line up in front of the 3 places where they can get meals and places to sleep. And every day, it seems like there's more and more and more. And that's a call. Every time I drive by it, I have 6 or 8 cans of food that, you know, go. I don't go without giving something. It might be 1 can of peas is all I have. And somebody might look at it and go, I don't even like peas. But it doesn't matter, because it's about the energy of giving and receiving. If we don't give and receive in a balanced, wonderful way, then we tend to get out of balance. When Charles Fillmore was writing about the 12 powers of man, and there were places in the body for each power, and I'm sure those of you who've been here a while have heard about that book and know it. And the thing he kept cautioning us to in that book several times in the text is we want all the 12 powers in balance with each other. So he says, like, if your intellect takes over, then everything comes from your head and it's all analytical, and you got to have everything in the right column in the right place, and the numbers all have to add up perfectly, and all of those kinds of things. But if we have our intellect and our heart in balance with each other, we make wise decisions. We can bring forth good into people's lives without any sense of fear or any sense of what if somebody's corrupt and they defraud this nonprofit, which has happened a couple of times this year so far in our newspaper. And I know that never happens in Canada. I mean, I worked here 12 years, and people are so straight arrows that never happens. But I do know that sometimes the greatest gift is the gift to go help straighten out a mess after it's happened. Giving is a gift for us. Being able to give, even if it's a can of peas, is a gift for us. We walk away with a brighter spirit. We walk away with an idea that maybe somehow we can help. Maybe somehow we can help. One of my quotes on the page is only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far they can go. You know, it's like we have to step out. We have to try. We have to, and I have to just tell you, last night, my daughter turned 45, which I can't believe because I'm only 39. But we've had several birthdays. She likes to have a birthday week, not a birthday party. So we've had several birthday parties. But the best gifts that she and I and everyone in our family knows is our children. And this birthday party was the important one because all of our children were home from college. One of them is at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., so she was flying standby with crossed fingers that she'd get home. And to see these 5 grandchildren I have, I mean, one of them's 6'4", and it's like I crane my neck looking up at him, but he is the kindest. I mean, sometimes I think he'd hate to hear this, so don't tell anybody. But I think of him like this gentle giant because he's always soft-spoken. He's always speaking kind words. He's always appreciating things. And all the kids are like that. But there's also this whole, I think, generation of kids right now that decide they want to see the world, and then they go get a job and get enough money to go see the world, and then they go. My oldest granddaughter decided she picked some countries she wanted to go, and she wanted to not just go there for a week. She wanted to go there for like 3 months and then 3 months somewhere else and 3 months somewhere else. So she found out, she's 17 years old. This was a few years ago. She's now 25 or 6 or something. I can't even keep track. But she's 17. She saved up enough money to get a plane ticket. She got online and decided one of her gifts is being a nanny and working with children. So she went on these sites where people let you stay in their house if you're a nanny for them, or if you're going to do some chores around the house or whatever. You know, it's like a trade. And she spent 3 months in Paris. And she'll go back to Paris at a drop of a hat. And she spent 3 months in Rome. And then she was going to go spend 3 months in England. And she got to England and they looked at her passport and saw she was 17, and they said, sorry, you can't come in, you're too young. I thought, how corrupt could England be that they wouldn't let a 17-year-old in? But it's their rules. So they put her in a hotel and they sent her home. And it was so amazing because I knew she wasn't supposed to be back for another 3 months. And they kept it from me that she was coming back. And we were having a party, and there she is. And I just burst into tears because she's just an amazing person. And she went, supposedly when she got to Paris, she was supposed to have the sister of the person she was going to work for pick her up, who spoke English and who could talk to her about where they were and what they were doing. And the sister couldn't come. And so she got a call, and she had a phone, and they said, we can't come to the train to get you, but just, ask anybody for directions. Well, she didn't speak French. So she just wrote the address down, and she went around saying, do you know where this is? And finally found some people that spoke English and went, oh, yes, we'll take you there, And she got in a car and got to this place and did it all fine. And people said to me things like, you'd let your 17-year-old go and just get in a car with someone who was nice, And I said, of course I will, because if you knew my oldest granddaughter, you would know that she has this incredibly huge, powerful bubble of light around her. And that bubble of light is an expression of how kind she is. Every child that gets nannied by her sends her cards, sends her letters, is just completely attached to her. And she has this presence of love. She's now the head of baking in 4 restaurants in Portland where she lives. And they just treat her like she's gold, because she is. She's gold. It's probably true that everyone here could stand up today and tell a story about one of their relatives that's really, really wonderful, kind, loving. But I'm here today to tell you to step up. So there's people in my family that I don't agree with, that it's hard for me to listen to. There's people in my family that can make situations awkward. Now, I know you don't have that problem, but I have that problem. And I have to really, really decide, can I listen with an open heart? And it's hard. I know you probably, I know that there's controversy with leaders here, like Trudeau. There's controversy. I get CBC in my house better than I get the NPR. So I know I listen to all these things, and I think they have such an easy go compared to the United States because people are just so polarized. And so I think my job is to listen with an open heart. And you make that commitment and you sit down at that table and all of a sudden somebody says, oh man, what a jerk so-and-so is, or some politician said it the wrong way or did it the wrong way or whatever. And I'm not political except for on voting day, and then I am. And that's the only day I am political. The rest of the time, it's funny because I'm a unity minister. I have served at every level of this movement, including chairman of the board for the whole international organization. And I don't like to talk religion with people. Does that ever happen to you? It's like, it's after about the third or fourth bless your heart that I know there's not a lot of exchange for me in this, but my position is to listen with an open heart. That's stepping up. Because it's real easy to have that critical mind in all of us. We all have that critical mind, and I have it, and it says, does this person even listen to the news? Does this person even know what's going on? It's like that critical voice inside. We have that, and it drags us down. Alan Alda said this. He says, you have to leave the city of your comfort to go into the wilderness of your intuition. What you'll discover will be wonderful. What you'll discover will be yourself. Isn't that cool? I love that one because it's about bringing all of those voices and all of those intuitions and all of that calling, when you see someone that needs help and you don't know how to help them and you forget to pray. I think it's so interesting whenever I've done counseling with anyone in my whole career, 30 years in ministry, they'll come in and they'll start talking about who did what and who shouldn't have done it and what's wrong with, or whatever. There's some kind of a tension or stress. And that goes for about 3 minutes. And then I say, have you prayed? Oh, we forgot to pray. Oh, we didn't even think to pray. Barb talked about my healing work. It's one of the most joyful things I do, and I love doing it. And it's just moving energy. It really is. It's just moving energy, but it's a very specific kind of energy. It's energy called unconditional love. That's all it is. Can you put a stranger on a massage table and love them so deeply from your whole heart, just like we love our grandchildren, or we love our children, or we love our friends, or we love the people we know? Could you put a stranger on that meditation table and just send him or her love? It's fun. It's joyful. It brings me to tears. And I have never, in all the time I've been doing this, which is about 12 years now, doing this healing practice, I've never had anybody say, oh, I feel worse. It doesn't happen because unconditional love does nothing but heal. It is the biggest and most important healer. And some people are called to it. They're called to do that healing. Now, a lot of times in the olden days, kind of in unity at the beginning, when Charles and Myrtle were the heads, and they had a beautiful church, very like this one, except it had an upstairs, and you went up this little staircase, and there was 12 healing rooms. And they trained all their licensed teachers to do healing work. And the healing work they did had a lot of Charles's intuition attached to it. He would go into meditation. He always waked up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He would go into meditation. He'd meditate for an hour or two, and then he would write what is happening. You know, if you read his books, he really loves to lay it all out of how everything works together, and it's quite interesting. But he always did it with this sense of perfect love. His granddaughter, I'm blanking, but anyway, her last name was Ray. She married Pete Ray. She said when she was a little girl, they were in the cottages, and if she got a sore throat or she got a cold or she got anything going on, they would call Papa Charlie, and he would come. And she would be in bed, and she would not be feeling well, and he would tell her to just go on off to sleep now. Just go to sleep, and I'll sit here with you. And then he would close his eyes, and he would sit there with her. And she would go to sleep, and after she'd been asleep for an hour or so, he'd leave. And she would wake up healthy and whole with no symptoms of anything. Nothing. And that's unconditional love from Charles Fillmore. That's how it worked. That's how it does work. So, Helen Keller said, life is either a daring adventure or it's nothing. So I want to challenge everybody here today to construct a daring adventure in their life. I don't know what that looks like for you. I don't know what it looks like for me half the time, but what I know is that if you ask Holy Spirit for your daring adventure, Holy Spirit will give you one. I'm not sure what it will be, but it will be a gift. And it would be so fun if you tried that through this Christmas season. It's interesting to me, but my mom, who's 93, and has a lot of opinions about everything, and they're usually good opinions. I usually agree with her. But she's decided this year she just can't do Christmas shopping. So she has just been trolling through all of these nonprofit charities that she wants to give gifts to everybody in giving to these charities. And she's so excited about it. And she's saying, now which charity do you think I should give for Aaron? And what should I do? You know, and I said, Mom, you'll know, just pray about it. If you were the kind of person like me that, can listen to people and can pray with them, then you can be a counselor or whatever you want to be. You can help people just listen and pray. I know that Barbara knows that. She's a chaplain. That's what all our chaplains are trained to do, to listen deeply and then to pray a prayer that would lift someone out of whatever the trouble is. And it's a beautiful thing. And so many people have said to me, I want to be a chaplain, and then they've never kicked through with it. They never did it. And when they finally try it, they go, yeah, this is what I should have been doing all along. There's something here in this church that needs to be done by you, by each and every one of you, to kick yourself up, to step up a little higher into a more expanded sense of giving and gratitude and love. And so, my very favorite one of all of these quotes from people is Pearl S. Buck. Do you know who Pearl S. Buck is? She writes books, yes. She said, "The young do not know enough to be prudent, and therefore they attempt the impossible and achieve it generation after generation." It would be nice for us to take this Christmas and make it into this experience within us that is about a daring adventure. It is about moving beyond what we think we can do. We all have this critical little voice that when you tell somebody, I'm going to go feed people every day at the shelter. And somebody says, "Well, how can you do that? Why would you do that? That sounds like a lot of work." Yeah, but it's good work. And if it calls you, try it. You'd only have to do it once to see if it's for you or not. Trina Paulus said this, and this will be the end, so you know it's coming. "How does one become a butterfly?" she asked pensively. "You must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar." So today, give up being a caterpillar. Decide you're going to fly. And you do that by the expression of unconditional love and the acceptance of unconditional love that's just right here in this room. That's how it starts. And then you take it out to the world and you fly. God bless.